Look, this might not be a video that will win me any new subs, but it's kind of what I want to talk about this week. I've been to HHN a few times this year, and in my opinion, Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth might be the most slept on house at the event. It's one of my favorites so far because every time I go through it, I find something new to appreciate about it. I'm Chris from Orlando, and today we're doing a deep dive into the house and what it means to the lore of HHN as a whole. Let's begin with the question, what is the Legendary Truth? They're a group of paranormal investigators who showed up at HHN 2008 investigating the mystery of Bloody Mary. And a few years after, they've shown up here and there investigating weird things, accidentally releasing fear itself, etc. Hashtag Mondays, am I right? They were part of the furniture of HHN, sure, but they were like, an ottoman. Yeah, it's nice to have, certainly, but it wouldn't be missed if it wasn't there. So it was surprising that they got a house starring the founder of the group, Boris Schuster, whose office you can actually see in the area across from where the Blues Brothers play, called Delancey Street, which is a cool bit of retconning they did. So what were my initial impressions of the house when I went through it? Hey, who are you? Okay, you're Boris Schuster. I know you found the Legendary Truth. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of cool monsters in here. Oh, hi, Jazz Lady. Is that Man Bear Pig? Oh, these different scenes are different books. That's why they all feel different and disconnected. And now that guy's face is melting off. And oh, big devil face. If that's all there was to it, it would be a cool, if a bit disconnected house. It was cool that the Legendary Truth was getting a bit more love, but what did it mean? It wasn't until I went through again and started looking at the notes on the wall throughout the house that I really started going down the rabbit hole, and it was all because of one word: Sarabin. That's when a whole lot of alarm bells started ringing in my head, and so like our hero Boris Schuster, I started investigating, and what I found might make this house the true origin point of everything Halloween Horror Nights. In terms of lore, of course. Let's go through the house one more time. Our story begins in New Jersey on October 25th, 1991, and already our Easter egg senses are going off. That date is, of course, the first night of Fright Nights, aka what would eventually become Halloween Horror Nights. Yeah, back in the day, HHN wasn't this massive multi-month extravaganza. It was more like yeah, we can have a Halloween event for a few days. That could be fun. Back to the house, we meet Tim Foyle, a guy who was obsessed with the old novels and case files of Boris Schuster, an old gumshoe back in the 40s. You first see him defending what appears to be a recreation of his office you can see out in the park, which is a nice little detail. He would travel through old noir novels like Terrors of the Tenement, Murder Mannequins, Massacre at the Museum, Murder by Mossman, Lustful Alibi, The Beast Unleashed, Death by Dolly, Evidence to the Contrary, Case of the Terrible Totems. Between all the jump scares, you'll notice each scene has an item that's weirdly lit. These are the totems that are so terrible in the last story in the house, and we see that individually they can summon a series of different monsters to wreak havoc, from she-devils to Man Bear Pig to whatever the hell this is. But we see in the last two sections, Evidence to the Contrary and Case of the Terrible Totems, what happens when all these totems are put together. A combination of summoning a Shadow Cthulhu monster, zombies, and melting your face off. Luckily, however, it seems that Boris Schuster was able to save the day back in the 40s and break the power of the totems. But Tim Foyle wasn't so lucky. He gathered all the dormant totems once again and accidentally released their horror on Halloween night, 1991. Okay, there's another layer to this thing. I'm starting to see why this is in Shrek, because like ogres, there's a lot of layers. So how does it connect to the rest of HHN's lore? Well, if you look behind Tim Foyle as he's experiencing what it's like to chew 5 gum, you'll see a bunch of symbols. You might also see a bunch of these symbols on notes early on in the house. And remember when I said the word Serbian was one of those notes that tipped everything off? Well, back in 2012, HHN didn't have a scare zone like we think of them. Rather, they had a set of roaming gangs that would wander throughout the park and scaring people everywhere. And I do mean everywhere. Lines, stores, restaurants, nowhere was safe. These gangs were called the Legions of Horror, and guests were encouraged to join an online game and join one of the legions. Think of it like your Hogwarts house, but for murder. They made a big deal of it at the time, assigning each notable character and creature in the HHN canon to one of these legions. Legit, if you go on the HHN wiki and look at the characters who showed up before 2012, you'll most likely see in the trivia section this person was part of the blah 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 legion. And I might have had to stretch a little bit for some, but I think all the stories where Boris assembles the totems have a link to one of the legions. The murder mannequins or Masquerians, due to their gang mentality and a scorpion symbol that Tim makes a note of. Massacre at the Museum are Cerabins, as they're dropped by name in a note, and due to their very beast-like monsters. Murder by Mossman is Karazins, because they're slow but unrelenting in their goals of murder. Lustful Alibi is Strangotus. I'm so sorry for these pronunciations, by the way, due to their seductive nature. The Beast Unleashed is Inquietus, because those beasts look like harbingers of death, and honestly, it was the only option left. Death by Dolly is Morphin, due to their playful nature. And that brings us back to Terrors of the Tenement, as Bacanoid, not because the monster is a member of this legion, but because this is where we first meet Boris Schunster, who is a confirmed member of this legion due to his deductive skills. So, here's the story that I think Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth is trying to tell us. Back in the 40s, Boris Schuster came across a series of horrific events caused by a totem belonging to one of the Legions of Horror. Eventually, the cops, not knowing the power of the totems possess, put them together in one place, unleashing their full power until it's stopped by Boris. Boris then locks them away, Raiders of the Lost Ark style, so they'll never resurface again, and founds the legendary truth in an effort to investigate and battle any other paranormal events. Fast forward half a century when Tim Foyle, obsessed with these old stories, starts looking for the totems, finds them, and unleashes their power once more. Tim Foyle is known as Boris Schunster, and so is consumed by the Legion's combined power, as the terror of these groups are now free to find a new haunting ground, with many of them eventually ending up at an event called Fright Night, and twisting it over the years into Halloween Horror Nights we know and love, all while recruiting new members to its rank every year. So thank you, Tim Foyle. You may have died a horrific death, but we wouldn't have HHN without you, so your sacrifice is well worth it. So what'd you think of my theory? What's your favorite HHN house so far? Leave them in the comments down below, and don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe video while you're down there to help the channel grow. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, links in the description as well. I'm Chris from Orlando, and that's just a theory, an HHN theory. Thanks for watching. Take care, y'all. One love, don't hurt nobody.